What's up? Welcome to the nest. Today we're going to talk about injection sites, and we're going to talk about how much oil can each injection site hold. So let's start off by talking about this. An intermuscular injection can be in any skeletal muscle. So technically speaking, you can in fact inject into any muscle on your body, as long as it's a skeletal muscle, which would be all your muscles except for your heart, of course. But all the rest, you can inject into them. Let's talk about some injection sites. The most common, delts. I'm going to give you both what the medical professionals advise along with what they'll actually hold. But before I tell you that, you need to know that it's all dependent upon the muscle size. If you got a fucking delt that's this butt fucking big, it's going to hold more than a delt that's this fucking big. Common sense, right? So your oil volume is going to be determined upon how much meat you got. So keep that in mind. All right, but the delt. Delt's probably the number one spot hit by most people. Medical professionals say to keep it at 1 cc. As long as you got some meat there, it'll hold 3 cc's. Another injection spot is going to be your vastus lateralis, and that's going to be your quads. It's going to be on the side of your quad. It's about this big, probably 2 to 3 inches wide. It goes from about the corner of your knee all the way up to your hip. Make sure you Google it. But it's about that wide. It's about that thick. Medical professionals say you can put 2.5 cc's in there easily. I will tell you now, it'll hold 6 cc's all day long. Another injection site, glutes. Basically, it's a hip injection. For your average guy, your ventro is a nice round chunk of steak right there on your side of your hip. One way you can find it is if you do a side karate kick, and you'll see that sucker pop right on up. That's where you want to hit. Medical professionals say it'll hold 3 cc's easy. It'll hold 5 to 6, no problem. Your glute, another injection site. Medical professionals will say it'll hold 3 cc's, no problem. The glute, I know a guy who's put 10 up in there. Your glute is the biggest muscle on your body, and it'll hold that oil. Yeah, now if you want to put 10 cc's in your ass, that's on you. I would expect some pip out of that bitch, but can it be done? Yes, it can be done. One thing I want to emphasize on the glute is there's a sciatica nerve in your ass on the right side, which is the right cheek you're fucking with. And it's the biggest nerve in your body. Medical professionals will say that if you hit that nerve, it'll cause the most excruciating pain that a human being can possibly suffer. And that's their words, not mine. Hitting that vein, not that fucking vein, hitting that fucking nerve is gonna whoop that ass. Hitting that nerve has also been known to cause paralysis. Hitting that nerve, or even getting close to that nerve. I've heard people say that they've hit above it, a couple inches. The gear trickled down, and the gear touched it, and it lit their leg on fire. They said it felt like their leg was on fire for a week. I know that around here, especially in my home state, they used to give birth control injections called depot shots, and they used to give them in the glute. They've actually banned it in my state because of accidentally hitting that nerve. So it's easier to hit than you would expect. So make sure that if you're going to fucking do the glute, just make sure you know damn well where that motherfucking damn nerve is going to be at. Don't fuck around with it. It's usually about halfway down and to the left. If you're looking at the ass. So if you're looking at the ass like my face, you're going to want to cross it. All right, here's your ass crack right down that motherfucker. Cross it, and then from this point to this point, cross it. Your injection is right here. Just Google that shit. You'll find it. Ain't no problem. Just make sure you understand that there's a dangerous nerve down there and you don't want to fuck with it. What else have we got here? Let's see, your delts, V-glute, all that shit. Basically, that's your main ones right there. That's pretty much it. Now, can you pin your traps? Fuck yeah, you can. Can you pin your damn biceps? Yeah, you can pin that shit. Your lats, you can pin your calves. You can even pin your forearm if you want to. I know people have done it, but let me tell you this: there's a reason that medical professionals have narrowed it down to the main sites, which is going to be your delts, your quads, your hip, and your ass. The reason they've narrowed it down there because them muscles just so happen to be the ones with the least amount of big veins in them and the least amount of nerves inside of them to hit. And if you ever hit a nerve, then you already know what it's like. If you Google some images of people hitting nerves, a lot of times, like if you hit if you hit a nerve in your tricep, your whole arm will swell up, and it's going to hurt. And you're going to be out of commission for a couple of days before you go back to lifting. So that's definitely one thing you want to be careful with. You got to hit, when you do triceps and biceps and calves and everything, you got to hit the head just right. There's no fucking up. There's no mistaking. And that's the reason why medical professionals only use these certain areas. So definitely make sure that if you want to experiment with other areas, that you know what you're getting into. So that when your ass hits that fucking nerve and you're crying like a little bitch up on this motherfucker in the comments, don't come to me saying, "Hey, I damn pinned my motherfucking damn tricep. Now I can't beat off with my right arm. Gotta use my left." So I don't want to hear that shit. I told you. Use your delts, use your quads, use your glutes, use your ventro glute, and you're good to go. I mean, if you can't hit what you need to hit and put the volume you need to put the volume in that without switching up, then damn, you must be doing 15 grams of shit every fucking damn week. So it'll easily hold all that shit. Like I say, just keep in mind, the bigger the muscle, the more it'll hold. The more you put in there, the more likely it is to have some pip. More likely it is to hurt, but 3 cc's into each group's never given me any problems. But everybody ain't good like me, so what the fuck you want to do about it? That's about it as far as injection spots. I really don't know what else to say about it, but I will tell you this: a lot of people ask this question: what size pins do you use and how deep you go? Back to the original statement, it depends on how much meat you got. You definitely want to make sure you got enough. When you're choosing which size pins to use, just make sure you got enough to get past the subcutaneous fat and all that shit to get down to the muscle. Some people like to go really deep in the muscle, some people don't. There's really no rhyme or reason that I know of that it'll make any really big difference. As long as it's in the muscle, it's going to be absorbed into the body, and that's all it is to it. But, if you're lean and you got a fairly decent size on you, as far as delts go, I use 5/8. But 5/8 to an inch is more than enough. 1.5 inches may be too big, unless you've got some really nice boulders. But 5/8 to an inch. V-glute, your ventro, 1 inch is good. For your glute, 1.5 is mandatory. Don't use anything less than 1.5 unless you got a really, really, really low body fat. And for a fact you're gonna get in there. But 1.5 inches for your glute, 1 for the V-glute, and 5/8 to 1.5 inches for your quads, depending on how big they are, and depending on how lean you are. But that'll get you. As far as gauge goes, it's all really preference. The standard is going to be 25 gauge, and that'll work for everything. Some people like them even smaller than that. A lot of times I use 23 gauge. The reason I use 23 gauge is because I ain't got all day to pump that shit in there. If you got the time and you're only doing a CC, 25 gauge is going to be better than 23. 23 is going to pump it faster. Of course, the bigger you go, the faster it's going to go. It's also going to be more likely for a chance of pip. It's also going to be more likely that it's going to sting a little bit harder when you go in there. I know people that use 22 gauge harpoons and love the shit out of it. I mean, it really ain't all that bad. It just depends on how much of a pussy you are, A, and B, it's going to build up scar tissue faster because you're doing more damage to the muscle each time you're going in there. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be pinning multiple times a week, go with the smallest you can go with. If you're just going to hit once a week but you want to put a big volume in, maybe you want to go over 23, 22. Yeah, that's just about it on that shit. I mean, it's all personal preference. The smaller you got, the smaller gauge you're using, it's going to mean the less scar tissue buildup, because eventually you're going to get scar tissue when you hit the same spot. Make sure you rotate spots, man. If you're going to hit your fucking glute, you can't hit the right glute every fucking day. You got to switch it up. So quit being a bitch. I know a lot of people are pussies, don't want to try the damn, they've been doing their glute for 2 years, but they don't want to try a delt. Quit being a little bitch, try your fucking delt, try your V-glute. I mean, damn, the worst possible situation is it's just going to hurt and you're going to get some pip. That's pretty much it. I mean, you might hit a vein, you might hit a nerve, but fuck it. You got to do it. If not, you're going to get scar tissue, and then it's going to be like trying to pin a football. It's going to have that resistance to it. So that's about all I got on this. That should damn answer all your questions on injection sites and how much oil and what sizes to use. If you got anything else you need me to speak on, put it in the comments. I'll hook it up. Appreciate you being here. Trying to get out some more videos. I need some ideas. So whatever y'all got, man, let me know. Let me know what you want to hear about, what you want to talk about, what you want to be about. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, peace out.